Hello friends and welcome to our YouTube channel. Our movie today begins with the colonization spacecraft Avalon heading towards the planet Homestead 2, piloted by automated systems. Over 5,000 passengers are traveling for 120 years in hibernation pods. After 30 years, due to an avalanche of meteoroids, the spacecraft collides with a larger meteoroid, causing serious damage and triggering the red alert signals. An engineer, Jim Preston, Chris Pratt, is accidentally awakened from hibernation and greeted by a friendly voice from the ship's computer, who tells him it's normal to feel disoriented after hibernation. But he realizes he's the only one who's awake and something is not right. Following a hologram, he realizes he woke up 90 years too early. Panicked, he tries to contact Earth, but learns that it would take about 55 years to receive a response. Disoriented, he runs through the ship and is happy to find Arthur, Michael Sheen, who is the bartender on the ship and serves him a drink, but he realizes that Arthur is an android. As an engineer, Jim accesses the ship's manuals and tries to re-enter the hibernation pod, but he cannot reactivate it and almost gets stuck inside. Searching for solutions, he then tries to enter the crew cabin, but his bracelet won't allow him access. On a screen, he sees that the ship has multiple malfunctions and realizes that even the lift doors are defective. Goes back to the bar and talks to Arthur again, who encourages him and tells him to enjoy the moment. Jim manages to enter the luxury area of the ship and enjoys movies, video games, a luxurious bedroom, food, and drinks for a year, but unfortunately, loneliness and monotony begin to weigh on him, and he becomes terribly bored. One day, while drunk on the ship, he finds a spacesuit and decides to go out into space. He falls into depression and is about to leave the ship without a suit to end his suffering but changes his mind at the last minute. Scared by suicidal thoughts, he runs back to the ship, where he trips over an empty bottle and falls beside the capsule where Aurora, Jennifer Lawrence, is hibernating. Attracted to her beauty, he studies her biography and finds out that she is a writer, and he begins to spend a lot of time near her capsule until he gets the idea to wake her up from hibernation. He knows that this would be like a death sentence for her since she is 90 years away from her destination, and the fact that he tries to get useful advice from Arthur doesn't help him at all. Despite his efforts to keep his sanity, he cannot get his mind off her, and eventually, he decides to wake her up. After he triggers the hibernation interruption process, he runs to his room scared of what he has done. The next day, he goes down to the ship's lobby where he meets Aurora and tells her that they are the only two awake on the entire ship, avoiding telling her that he woke her up. Aurora asks him how long he has been awake, and he replies that it has been a year and 3 weeks. Terrified, she runs towards her capsule, but Jim follows her to calm her down. Then he goes to the bar and tells Arthur not to tell anyone that he woke her up. The next day, the two meet at breakfast, where Aurora tells him that she wants to find a way to go back into hibernation, and Jim tells her that he has tried several times and failed. Aurora tries it anyway but realizes that her efforts are futile. Jim notices that a cleaning robot is malfunctioning, and he realizes that errors are becoming more frequent throughout the ship. A week later, Aurora begins to adjust to life on the ship and starts writing a journal of her new life. The two become closer and confide in each other. Jim tells her that he went on this journey because he felt like he had nothing left to do on Earth, and Aurora says that she only wanted to go to the colony for a year to get inspiration for a book about why people left Earth. The two become increasingly close, and Jim suggests that they go to a restaurant together, and Aurora accepts. Then they go to the spacesuit room, equip themselves, and go for a walk in space. Inevitably, they kiss and spend the night together, forgetting about the defects that are becoming more frequent on the ship. 1 year from now, celebrating Aurora's birthday, Jim claims to Arthur that there are no secrets between them. He leaves Aurora at the bar and goes to the bathroom to surprise her with the ring he built. Arthur, understanding that there are no secrets anymore, tells Aurora that Jim made a great decision waking her up. Aurora is shocked and tells Jim to stay away from her. Days pass, but Aurora is still upset and doesn't want to interact with Jim, whom she accuses of condemning her to death. He tries to placate her by speaking to her through the ship's microphone, but the girl is furious and doesn't want to forgive him. Jim plants a tree on the ship to further appeal to Aurora, but the ship's technical situation keeps worsening, and more errors appear. Suddenly the voice of the commander Gus, Lawrence Fishburne, prematurely awakened, is heard. He claims that there are serious problems since these capsules have never had any errors. Gus, with his bracelet, has access to the command area and tries an automatic diagnosis that fails. He then separates the two on different decks for a manual check. After the scan, the three conclude that the ship began having problems from the collision with the meteors 2 years ago. Overnight, while Gus and Jim were sleeping, Aurora goes to swim in the pool when another system error occurs, affecting gravity. Aurora is trapped in a massive sphere of water and cannot get out. The systems instantly recover, including gravity, and Aurora manages to get out of the pool. They meet in the hallway and go to see what happened. In the technical room, the three discover that the malfunction is very serious, and if they don't fix it, the ship will be destroyed. The three go to the ship's command room to identify the error, but the captain faints. The two take him to the infirmary, and after a complete scan, they indicate that he has several necroses in his body due to the malfunction of the hibernation capsule and has no chance of survival. The ship's systems fail again, and in Gus's last moments of life, he gives them his bracelet with access to all the systems and tells them to take care of each other and save the ship and the 5,000 passengers together. Aurora and Jim go together to the technical room to try to fix the malfunctions. When she opens the door, Aurora is suddenly sucked inside due to a hole in the ship's hull caused by a meteorite. She barely manages to save herself, and Jim isolates the hole. They arrive at the reactor and realize that they urgently need spare computer parts. The ship shakes suddenly, but Jim finally manages to replace a part, but the reactor still doesn't work correctly, and the situation worsens. Jim finds out that the reactor's evacuation needs to be cleaned, but the fan is stuck. He tells Aurora that he needs to open the door manually from the outside. Jim improvises a protective shield, puts on a suit, and leaves for the exit. Aurora begs him to be careful and tells him that she can't live without him on the ship. Jim exits into space towards the ventilation door, and Aurora goes to the control room to operate the ventilation lever when Jim signals her. However, she gets injured in the arm by a metal chip. Jim reaches the ventilation gate, which can only be opened manually due to malfunctions. This means that Jim has to stay in the evacuation hatch to hold the gate open. Aurora tries to convince him not to do it, but Jim tells her that it's the only chance to save the ship and the other passengers. He tells her to pull the lever, and Aurora complies while crying. The reactor starts evacuating forcefully, and flames pass by Jim, ejecting him into space and breaking his guiding cable, and making a small hole in his protective suit. The reactor recovers, and all systems start functioning normally. Jim, without his guiding cable, is pulled towards the engines but manages to redirect his trajectory by kicking in the engine jet. He then reconnects with Aurora, who tells him that everything is functioning normally. Jim tells her that he can't return to the ship because he's running out of oxygen, his guiding cable is broken, and he's drifting away. He says goodbye and apologizes for waking her up and that he would have liked to spend the rest of his life with her. Aurora quickly puts on a suit and goes into space to search for Jim. She finds him and tries to reach him despite reaching the limit of her guiding cable. With one last effort, she manages to grab Jim's cable and pull him towards the ship's entrance. She struggles to drag him to the infirmary and places him in the medical self-diagnostic scanner, which indicates that Jim is dead. She requests the equipment to resuscitate him, but it refuses because it's not part of the protocol. Aurora then uses Gus's bracelet, and the medical scanner uses all resuscitation methods until Jim regains his pulse and wakes up. Aurora embraces and kisses him in excitement. Life starts to return to normal on the ship. Aurora tries to repair Arthur's face after the effects of the incidents on the ship. Later, Jim and Aurora resort to a space burial ritual, cremating Gus's body in a vacuum tube and releasing his ashes into space. Then, Jim tells Aurora that he can convert the medical capsule into a hibernation capsule for her. With only one available, he will have to remain awake. Later, Jim sits alone at the bar holding the engagement ring he wanted to give to Aurora. Aurora approaches Jim from behind, he offers her the engagement ring, and they passionately kiss. The film ends by showing the ship reaching its destination after 88 years, and the passengers and crew are awakened from hibernation. They arrive in the lobby and are amazed to find a beautiful garden and a huge tree in the center. That concludes today's film. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a like if you enjoyed it, and hit the notification bell to be informed when we post our future videos. All the best to everyone, see you in the next video.